is going on, everybody? You got Matty Brollic here, and I am back for Week 10 of the National Pokeball League. Now, this is a very exciting week, ladies and gentlemen, because I will finally be playing a very good friend of mine. Chris goes by the name of Togavor. He's the coach of the Arizona Carvanhas, and I've known him for a decent amount of time now, because when I first joined the NPL, even as an analyst for Season 3, I was always watching him because he was always one of the better players, and he is someone who's just consistently been a top threat in every league that he participates in. So he's, like I said, just a phenomenal draft league player. Now, even though I've known him for a while and we have mock battles and such all the time, we've never actually played in an official game. So this is actually pretty exciting because it's our first time really getting to play him, and we know just how good he is. So it should definitely be an interesting game, especially because the matchup is very interesting, considering the fact that we both have very, very threatening teams, and we both kind of felt the same. I felt like my matchup wasn't very good here. I like the team that I built, but I felt like overall my matchup wasn't very good because he does have offensive threats that can really put in a lot of work against my team, but it's just the fact that a lot of my good offensive threats get checked by at least one or two of his mons pretty heavily. So it was pretty hard for me to put together a team that I felt could pressure whatever he wanted to bring, especially because Togue could get very creative with his prep. So even though there's a decent chance I may have to play Togue in the playoffs, I felt that I just couldn't really win this game without bringing a playoff caliber team, and he felt the same. So I knew it would definitely be an interesting match, but I'll just preface this game by saying it was definitely a little bit rushed. What's it called? Just a spoiler, I do not have nicknames on my Pokemon, which makes me very upset because I like nicknaming my Pokemon before the battle. I just didn't get around to it because what happened was he just challenged me out of nowhere while we were talking in another chat, and we were planning on playing the following day, but I was like, you know what, whatever, I don't even care, I'll just play tonight. Now I only got like 2 mocks for this game, which for me is very little, and usually I get a lot more. So I definitely didn't feel like I was 100% ready, but I liked the team that I brought in both of those mocks, and I was just feeling good. I was like, you know what, I'm in a good mood, let's just play. So that is what we did. So we'll get right into the matchup here. He brought Weavile, Latias, Mega Venusaur, Seismitoad, Clefable, and Staraptor. Now, all of these are gigantic threats to my team. Weavile isn't necessarily the biggest threat to my team as it may be to many other teams, just because I have both a Cobalion and a Magearna. But as you could see, or as you're going to see it rather, if he could remove one of the two, then Weavile just becomes such a big threat to my squad. So with that being said, we will get right into this battle, as here I lead with my Magearna as he leads with his Staraptor. Now, I'm expecting this thing to be choiced in some way. Choice Scarf seems kind of obvious just because, Scarf Staraptor is generally a good set. It outspeeds everything on my team unboosted and can come in and just do a lot of damage with reckless stab attacks. So Scarf is definitely a huge possibility, but also Choice Banded is really, really powerful against my team. For example, like Magearna with my HP investment, which is nearly max, I could take almost 50% from a banded Brave Bird, and if I'm not like Choice Specs or what's it called, or like Gigavolt Havoc or some type of Z move, then I may not be able to kill this thing back in one shot. So he doesn't lose that much by going for just something like a banded Brave Bird if he is banded. So having said that, on this first turn, I was thinking right away, okay, he just like everybody else who's been facing this Magearna lately probably really wants it gone because it is just a massive threat. So there's a decent chance that he may just want to go for a Final Gambit because Staraptor is pretty high HP. So even without a ton of HP investment, a Final Gambit will do just a boatload of damage to my Magearna here. So looking at my team, I do have a Decidueye here. And if I do predict the Final Gambit and go Decidueye, then he will lose his Staraptor, and I won't get hit by the final Gambit at all, and I'll be in a great spot because I'll have a really healthy Magearna, and even if he wants to send in Weavile next, I have 2 solid switch-ins to the Weavile and a Cobra Berry on Decidueye. So I clicked Decidueye, and I was like, okay, I really feel like he's going to go for the final Gambit here, and if he doesn't, I feel like he's going to U-turn. Wouldn't be the biggest deal in the world because he can go into Weavile, and what's it called? Even if he wants to Pursuit me or something like that, I could easily live it with my Cobra Berry. But then I was just like, okay, well, Bandit just puts in so much work against my team, and this Staraptor generally puts in a lot of work against my team because Cobalion's not even a great switch-in considering it doesn't resist flying. So would he really want to lose this early? Especially if he's Bandit, he just doesn't lose that much by going right for Brave Bird. And if he does just happen to go right for Brave Bird and I go Decidueye, then I lose my hazard removal, which will be very detrimental to me because I have both a Charizard and a Salazzle that have pretty nice matchups in this game. So I was just like, I really think that he'll want to keep this around to just kind of break on my team, revenge things, pressure my team. I really don't think he'll make the final Gambit play, especially when I have the Decidueye and maybe Cobra Berry for the Weavile, or even things that run knockoff potentially like Seismitoad, Venusaur. So I just decide to stay in and fire off a Flash Cannon as he does go right for the final Gambit. And it's funny because he said he actually originally was going to go for a U-turn, and then he canceled it and changed it to the final Gambit. So kind of funny because both ways they would have worked out for him better had, like he gone with his initial thing and I would have gone with my initial thing. He would have gotten the U-turn off, which wouldn't have been terrible for me, but it definitely would have given him some momentum. But then also, if I just did go into Decidueye, I would be in an amazing position. Such a good position. So that was really unfortunate for me because now my Magearna is kind of useless. Like everything on his team, except for probably Clefable, can outspeed me. So here he goes right into Weavile, and I have no reason to switch out here because I really need to scout the Weavile set, and I don't want to switch something in hard, as going into Cobalion would, like Low Kick can do a lot of damage to Cobalion. I could easily take his dual stab attacks, but Low Kick from a Choice Banded Weavile does a lot of damage. So here I can go into Cobalion because there's no way even Choice Banded Low Kick can kill me. And here I really wanted to just go straight for Toxic, expecting the Seismitoad to come in, but I'm figuring that there's a good chance the Latias may have been a set designed to check Magearna, kind of like Jolt brought, because it's a very good set against my team in general. So if that is the case, then he will not have hazard removal, and if I get up hazards, I could really pressure the Weavile. It could help me scout the Clef set, and Venusaur definitely struggles to switch in to attacks with rocks up. So I was just like, what, if he doesn't go Seismitoad here, if he goes something like Latias or Venusaur to get his Mega Evolution off, because Venusaur can easily get a Mega off on Cobalion, I'm just going to go right for my rocks because now I'm kind of in a bad spot. So hopefully he'll make a little bit of a misplay, but he makes the right play and he goes right into Seismitoad. So here I know he's going for rocks, so I do just go right for the Toxic, as now I'm going to go right into my Decidueye as he makes another good play and goes right for the Ice Punch here. Now that does a lot of damage, and I'm enraged to go down for a second one, but he doesn't know my set. I actually do have quite a bit of speed on the Decidueye, and if he's not Rindo Berry, then he will easily get knocked out by a grass move. And if he, and if I am faster and I could roost up, then I could stall out these Ice Punches unless I get frozen, as he just keeps getting worn down by the Toxic. So here I predict him to switch out, and I do go for a Roost, as now he goes right into his Clefable, revealing to me that he is unaware instead of Magic Guard, as here things get interesting. As here I go right for the Spirit Shackle. This Decidueye is actually kind of meant to take on Clefable. I could easily stall it out, and I could scout its set and whatnot. And I do have Defog on here as well. Right now, these rocks are not really too helpful for me because, they are. It's definitely nice for the Weavile and the Venusaur especially, but overall, these rocks are hurting me a lot more than they are him. So what I want to do here is Defog. So here he goes right for the Thunder Waves. I go for the Spirit Shackle. So now here I don't want to switch anything directly into a Thunder Wave because I don't want to switch anything into a Thunder Wave here because obviously most of my team will not appreciate being paralyzed. So what I could do with this Decidueye is just try to scout this Clefable's moveset and defog. So I get that Spirit Shackle off, and now I want to Roost up. So he goes for the Moonlight as I go for the Roost, and now I'm at full. So now I just want to defog as he goes for the Moonblast, and I get paralyzed. Now he goes for an Ice Beam. I get paralyzed. Now here I just really want to Roost up, because if I do Roost up, you know, the power chance is only 25%, so I can get a couple more Roosts off and just be healthy enough to keep my Decidueye around, because number one, Decidueye can beat Seismitoad. It can stall out Clefable, so it's kind of good in those regards. I don't want to reveal the last move I had on this Decidueye, just, you know, for the potential of playing Toga in the playoffs. Let's just say its last move was useful for the rest of his team. But what I really want to do is just get healthy and then defog, because keeping this thing around is definitely useful for me, even if it's just sack fodder or just something to come in to Clefable's Thunder Waves and stall it out a bit, so I could potentially get a better switch into something that could take on Clefable, but that doesn't want to switch in directly to Thunder Wave, so that would definitely be really helpful. But as you're going to see, I get paralyzed for the third time in a row. And I decide to keep my Decidueye around, not because I need it, because obviously it's going to go down to rocks when I send it back in, but I know that anything this Clefable wants to do to Salazzle here will do absolutely no damage, because I'm actually a bulky Salazzle with Black Sludge. So it's really unfortunate that I had to take rocks damage, because as you're going to see, this Salazzle set is so nice for what he brought. So the fact that I need to constantly take Stealth Rock damage is very, very unfortunate for me. As he goes right for the Moonblast, gets a crit, which is not that big of a deal, because like doing 16% means that it only, you know, it is only like an extra like 5-6% that it would have done. It's just annoying in the sense where because I need to take these Stealth Rock damage, and because as you're going to see, I'm actually a substitute set, all that HP is actually really, really useful and will come into play. So here I'm just going to fire off a taunt here on the Clefable, just to make sure that it doesn't, because if it wanted to go right for the Thunder Wave there, it would have I would have been able to block that and get a little bit of HP back, and then I could potentially just fire off a Flamethrower on the following turn, because I didn't want to set up a sub and lose HP too early. And he doesn't have any particularly great switch into Flamethrower. He can go into Latias, but the Toxic is kind of obvious, and he's already got a Poison Seismitoad, so just getting damage off on the Seismitoad would be kind of nice for me. But he does just go right into the Seismitoad, making a good play as I go for Taunt. So now I'm forced to just go right into my Decidueye and sack it off as he goes for the Earthquake here. So now I go into my Charizard. I know that he has Earthquake here, and I know that I have to Mega Evolve in the first turn, so he's probably going to go right for the Earthquake. But if this is a defensive Seismitoad, then I'm going to need one more round of Toxic to knock this out, and that's important just because if I don't knock him out as I Dragon Claw here, and he knocks me out with Earthquake, that gives him a lot more momentum. Because, for example, if I Dragon Claw this thing, then he is forced to go into something else to revenge my Charizard. Even if, you know, like the Earthquake does a lot of damage, he's forced to go into something else, probably Weavile or Latias, to revenge my Charizard, which will allow me to send in something a little bit better against one of those, giving me a little bit more momentum. So I need to do anything I can to try to bring this game a little bit closer here, because it's not looking too good right now. So I go for the Roost here, and you're going to see this Earthquake does a ton. So he definitely has a good amount of offensive investment. That does almost 90%. As here I'm just going to fire off a Dragon Claw, knowing that it's definitely going to kill, considering this Seismitoad's attack investment. So it did help me, though, that I still have my Charizard around, because that forced him to go into Weavile. It forced him to take some Stealth Rock damage. And now I could, like I said, play accordingly against this Weavile. He's just going to go right for the knockoff. So now that gives me a pretty easy switch into my Azelf, because I am Choice Scarfed, and I highly doubt that this Weavile is going to be Choice Scarfed, just because it outspeeds everything on my team unboosted. It could do quite a bit of damage, and it only really does damage to my team, unless, you know, if it is boosted. So that's the main reason I'm not really expecting Scarf here, because he's really going to struggle to wear things down like Kabalion or Megearn, or those things could set up on it if he's Scarfed or something like that. Much easier. So now I go into my Azelf, and I am just going to go for the U-turn here, predicting him to switch out. He really does not want to lose his Weavile just yet. As here I can go into Salazzle and try to make something happen. So I'm gonna go for my substitute. I'm gonna go for a substitute here as he goes into Latias. Now I don't know what Latias set this is, but like I said, I had a feeling it might be something to combat Magearna a little bit better. Jolt brought a Reflect type Combine stored power set. Now the cool thing about stored power on Z move Latias is that after even just like one boost, Z moves make it so that stored power, like Z stored power, would be like 160 base power, which is something pretty crazy considering it starts from only being 20 base power. So I have this sub up, and now I can get a Toxic off on this Latias, which is very nice because that really limits its sweeping potential. But I'm figuring, you know, he'll just be able to break my sub unless he is stored power, because an unboosted stored power is literally only going to be 60 base power. You know, with factoring in super effective and stab boost. So I could actually avoid breaking my sub because I'm a bulky Salazzle. So I'm going to go right for the Toxic here, as I do hit the Latias. Toxic is 100% accurate, and as you're going to see, it's accurate, 100% accurate for poison types. As you're going to see, the store power does not even break my sub, like I said, so that was really, really nice. As now I can, I just fire off a taunt here, because I almost went for another Toxic, expecting him to switch out. But I went for a taunt just because I didn't want the thing setting up a Combine, because then I can't wall it with Salazzle. Like, I just totally 1v1 that Latias if he does not have a Combine up. So that is why I go for taunt here. But he makes another good switch going right into his Venusaur. Had I gone for Flamethrower there, then I would have been in a pretty nice spot, because I think 2 Flamethrowers would have knocked out this Venusaur, because before he has the Thick Fat, he has much less Spadef. And before he Mega Evolves, he has a good amount less Spadef, and then he also does not have Thick Fat, so he probably would have taken at least like 60 something from this Flamethrower. So I think I would have just been able to 2-hit KO this Venusaur and still been behind a sub, which would have put me in an amazing position. So in hindsight, like, should I have played for that type of choke and just gone for Flamethrower? Maybe, but I think, I think my play overall was the best play I could have made. But yeah, I would have been in an amazing position had I just gone for Flamethrower right here. As the thing is, he doesn't know my last move though, which is kind of why he switches Venusaur directly in. So it wasn't like necessarily a huge choke on his part, but just if I did click Flamethrower there to damage the Latias and like keep it low, then, or in like in range of like Azelf or something like that, then I would have certainly been in an amazing spot here, probably in a spot to just completely turn this game around and win. So now I just go for the taunt as he switches in his Venusaur. So I really need this thing poisoned, because that will help me wear this thing down, as I do go right for the Toxic. I'm expecting the Earthquake on this Venusaur, as he does have just that. It hits Magearna, it hits Charizard X, it hits Salazzle. So now he's kind of forced to go for it again. I'm thinking he may go for a knockoff or something if he has it, but if he doesn't have it, then I'm expecting him to go for Earthquake again, because if he has a Grass move, then Salazzle 4 times resist those. So my play has to be Azelf. If I want any chance of getting back into this game, I need to go Azelf here, as I do just that, and he goes for the Earthquake. So here, I'm going to go for the Fire Blast, just because if I go for Psychic, then he can Pursuit Trap me with Weavile. So I just go for the Fire Blast, because that also keeps this Venusaur low, and I can scout what type of set it is. So judging by that damage, it has some Spadef, but I don't think it's like max Spadef or anything like that. So I am going to just double into my Cobalion here, expecting his Latias to come in on the Fire Blast, as I don't know if this thing is Z-move or not, but with the stored power, it really can't do too much to me. And if I can just wear this thing down with the Iron Heads and plus Toxic, then I could potentially have a shot of coming back in this game, or at least making it really, really close. So I'm just going to go right for the Iron Head here, as he goes right for the Combine. And as you're going to see, this Iron Head does very little, does about 22%. So that means he's definitely pretty bulky. I'm expecting him to be like, max HP with a little bit of defense and like enough speed for Cobalion. But as you're going to see, something I certainly did not expect. If you did not notice last turn, that Latias got the Combine off before I got my Iron Head off. But on this turn, I actually get my Iron Head off first before he goes for his move, which means that it was a speed tie, which is kind of crazy, because I just had enough speed for his Staraptor, and he was going for the same thing, just enough speed for my Charizard, which, like, it's really unfortunate because I'll talk about this more after the game. Like, bottom line, it was kind of a mistake in speed creeping, no doubt about it, but like, this completely turned the game around, like 110%, because I'm not sure if he clicked Z stored power or Roost, but regardless, you know, even if he did click Roost, even if I did win another speed tie, I would need to flinch him to have any chance to to have any chance of stopping this Latias, which, you know, isn't that likely. It's only 30%. And if he just went for Z stored power, he would have done a ton of damage to my Cobalion, which would allow it to potentially get knocked out by the Weavile, depending on how much this does to me. And regardless, he just would have been in a position to almost definitely win this game, like almost 100%. So as you're going to see, I do get the flinch, and he goes down there. So that was huge for me. As here he sends in his Clefable. I wanted to go for Iron Head and go for another flinch there, but I knew I needed to Toxic this thing because Salazzle could just totally shut this thing down. And wearing Clefable down with Toxic is really, really big for me. As I hard into Salazzle here, knowing that he's not going to go for another Thunder Wave here, considering I do have the Iron Head on the Cobalion, he'll take a good amount of damage from that, especially with the wearing down of Toxic. So here, I have a feeling that he's not going to want to just go right for the Thunder Wave, because if I taunt and he Thunder Waves, then I go back above 25% HP, and I get up a Substitute. So if he sends in his Weavile, then, like, regardless of whether he switches in his Weavile or Mega Venusaur, I'm getting a kill with Salazzle. It's Salazzle 1v1's Clef, even from a very low amount of HP. Considering that Moonblast does, what's it called? Only a little over 10%. So here, I am going to go right for the Flamethrower, as the special attack drop doesn't matter because of his Unaware ability. So that Flamethrower still does a good amount, as his Ice Beam does about 14%. So here I'm just going to be able to knock this thing out with the Flamethrower, forcing him to go into his Weavile and go right for, I believe he goes for the knockoff here. So now what I could do is go into my Cobalion. Even if he has low kick, it will not knock me out from here. And I could just go right for the Iron Head because it will knock out the Weavile 100%. Maybe if he's Babiri Berry, it won't. But I'm really not thinking it's Babiri Berry, as he's probably just going to switch into his Venusaur. But regardless, just keeping that thing low and getting damage off on it is big, as he does just go into his Venusaur. Now I do get the Iron Head off. Now that does 19%, which reveals to me that he is not a defensive Venusaur. So that is something that will come into play later on when I talk about the game afterwards. Is now I go for another Iron Head, as my Iron Heads are only doing around like 19 to 20%. But regardless, he could actually pull this back, because if I get paralyzed enough times in a row, and he can knock me out with Earthquake and still keep his Venusaur around, if he is out of range of Fire Blast, which my Fire Blast from as of before did like 24%, so that's not a lot. If he's out of range of Fire Blast, then I'm in a pretty bad spot, because if he is banded Ice Shard Weavile, then any attack from Venusaur plus Ice Shard from Weavile will knock me out. And not only do I have to hit 3 fire, not only do I need to hit Fire Blast on Venusaur, but I need to hit 3 of them to lock myself in, hit Venusaur twice, and then hit the Weavile, or hit Venusaur once, because he'd probably go down to the Toxic after the Fire Blast. But yeah, so then he would send in his Weavile next, and I would need to hit the Fire Blast on the Weavile as well. So yeah, if this Venusaur is out of range of Fire Blast, then I can lose this game. So here I get paralyzed, as here he goes for another Earthquake, as I get paralyzed again. So now if he gets his Synthesis off and I get paralyzed one more time, then he has, like I said, that chance of hexing me. But now he's just kind of forced to go for the Earthquake here, as he goes down to the Poison. And now I could just send in my Scarf Azelf and click Dazzling Gleam here for the victory. As wow, that was a really tight game, but it's just it's so unfortunate because like I what's it called was saying before about Togue is that he's a phenomenal player, but the crazy thing about this guy is that he's just been so consistently unlucky in draft leagues. It's crazy because everyone obviously gets hacked. Everyone obviously hacks other people. It's just all a game of chance, and everyone's going to get lucky sometimes, and everyone's going to get hacked sometimes. But I've never met someone who's been so consistently unlucky in draft league games like Togue, and it's just so unfortunate because like this season in general in the NPL, there's been so many good games that have been ruined by hacks, and that's just really unfortunate because when you have two good players going at it and the game's having a lot of potential to be a good game because both players are prepping well, playing well, it's just really sad to see them just deterred by hacks because like we're doing this for competition. We're not doing this for, you know, just crazy random factors that are completely out of our control. That's obviously what Pokemon entails, but that's not what we want. So being on either end of hacks, whether you're, you know, winning or losing, if you have any integrity, it's not what you want. Like, you don't want to go, you know, undefeated in a draft league or something like that by getting really lucky and getting bailed out by hacks a lot. That's definitely not the way that you're going to want to do it if you have integrity and you want to actually feel like you're doing well, because, you know, obviously you do want to win, and if you get lucky, you get lucky. It's part of the game, but obviously that's not the preferred way to win if you actually want to try to be the best. So let me just talk about the game a little bit though. The hacks. So two things I want to bring up. Seismitoad and Venusaur were both offensive. Now, Clefable was pretty bulky on the physical side from my Spear Shackle damage, but regardless, that is not a check to offensive Mega Charizard X. So basically, if I had Decidueye around and that thing didn't get worn down by the hacks, then it would have been around for me to potentially get, you know, keep rocks off the field multiple times, which would have been huge for both Salazzle and Charizard. And it also would have been around to potentially stall out Clef, just play mind games and not allow him to get Thunder Waves off on the rest of my team. It would just be a nice potential sack. Having Decidueye around definitely would have been really nice in that regard, but the biggest thing was just getting the rocks off the field, because if I could have gotten the rocks off the field, there was nothing on his team that was easily coming in to stop Charizard. Because yes, his Clefable could take, you know, Flare Blitzes whether I set up or not because he's unaware, but his Clefable could not switch in, so he needs to sack things just to avoid me sweeping him. And his Latias, I don't believe, had a Dragon move. I didn't get to see its whole set, but I don't have a Psychic immunity, so he doesn't really need a reason to run another coverage move on that set. You know, he could easily just run Calm Mind, Reflect type, Roost, and Stored Power. So that is why I my Charizard was just such a huge threat, because it's not even like his Latias could have beaten the Charizard. Weavile doesn't really beat the Charizard. Banded Icicle Crash will do it a lot, like over 60% or something, but if I have a full HP Charizard not coming in on rocks, then he needs to get me that low. And he just had absolutely no switches to the Charizard, so the Charizard would have just plowed through his team without even having to set up. I just could have clicked buttons. And Salazzle, if I could set up more substitutes with that thing, then it just would have put in so much work this game. It already did. It had 3 kills due to Toxic, which was pretty cool. But what's it called? Yeah, it had 3 kills due to Toxic, which was amazing. But at the same time, it could have just done so much more, because if it had the substitute up and could just continuously substitute as his team gets worn down by the poison, and I could fire off some flamethrowers, which his team did not have very good switch-ins to, even uninvested, then Salazzle just really could have dominated this game. And that is why I think that, you know, I never would have been in such a bad position where I needed to win that speed tie and flinch the Latias to win the game. So that's kind of all I have to say there. Like, I feel really bad because Togue, his last 4 weeks have just been all pretty much decided by luck. Whether you consider speed ties luck or not is one thing. I mean, like, I don't know if it's worthy of being called hacks, but it obviously takes luck to win that 50-50. But the main hacks obviously was the Iron Head flinch after the speed tie. So, yeah, like without a doubt, I got very, very lucky. I got bailed out exactly when I needed it, and that was really unfortunate because, like I said, I don't want to win that way. I don't want to win because I got lucky and bailed out. But I honestly do think that had he not hacked my Decidueye the way that he did, that I would have been in a much better position. And regardless of whether I got that luck on the Latias or not, it still would have been a close game. So considering being from such a bad position, it still would have been a close game. I do think that had I gotten the rock, so I've had Decidueye around for the reasons I stated before, I think that I had a really good chance to win this game. But that's just what I think. I obviously, it happened so early in the game that I can't go back and prove anything. But that's just how I feel in the matter, because like I said, his Venusaur was not physically defensive. His Seismitoad was not physically defensive. His Latias most likely did not have coverage for the Charizard. And because Toge did tell me after the game that he brought the set that Jolt brought. He didn't tell me the whole thing. But he showed me all the moves except for Reflect type, and that's like kind of like the main reason Jolt brought that set, is because it can turn Magearna into setup fodder. So I'm pretty sure that was another thing that could not beat Charizard X. So that thing just would have gone in, and like I said, Salazzle already put in so much work with those Stealth Rocks up on the field, switching into attacks with Stealth Rocks up on the field. So you can only imagine how much better it would have done had it had extra HP to set up substitutes a lot more easily and whatnot. So that's pretty much all I have to say there. Really well played and prepped on Toge's end. I think we both prepped and played well this game. That turn one was pretty crazy. I so wish that I made that play and just stuck with my gut, because in hindsight, at first I really kind of stood by my play, but in hindsight I was like, no, like I really didn't lose too much. Like, yes, if he did Brave Bird, I just would have been in an awful spot. No doubt about it, but it really was just kind of unlikely that he would do that, especially considering the fact that there was a high chance that Staraptor was scarfed by the makeup of his team. So yeah, that is pretty much it. I know this one has gone on kind of long, so definitely guys, go check out Togevor's channel. He is a fantastic content creator, amazing Draft League player, just really good Pokemon player in general. So if you're looking to get better, he definitely provides a really interesting perspective on Draft League. He's known as the Berry King because he makes use of resistance berries and just berries in general much better than pretty much everybody I know in the format. So that is really cool. And like I said, he's just very consistent. He does consistently get hacks, which is really unfortunate, but even through all that hacks, he still has far and away an amazing winning record, which just goes to show how good he really is. So yes, the St. Louis Reshirams do pick up the victory, which is, you know, it is nice that we are keeping our momentum going, because I don't know what it was about this match. I had fun. Like, I definitely don't think Toge did. He's just got to be so fed up from the hacks at this point. But like for me, like I didn't show the chat in this game, but when he was hacking me with the Decidueye, he was just saying like, I'm sorry, and I was like, dude, you deserve this. Like, you just get so unlucky all the time that this is probably a long time coming. So I just felt so lax during this game and laid back, and I really was not very frustrated. And I just love the way I felt during this game. I hope I can feel this way for the rest of my games, because like win or lose, I just, you know, would not have been super tense or upset or salty or whatever. So that was definitely a nice feeling, and I hope I can continue that and continue the momentum of you know, the win streak in my last couple games. We have Crobat for the win next week, my good buddy Danza, who has a very threatening team. And then week 12 we have the man, the myth, the BBC King, Iron Flash Gaming, which will be hopefully a hell of a game, because we've never played before in the format, and he is the one person that I would want to play more than anyone else that I have not played yet by a long shot. So he's also number 1 in the league right now in terms of standings, so that would definitely be an exciting game, because his team is crazy good. Our team is very good. So yeah, we'll see what happens in these next couple weeks. I will continue to keep doing my best. And yeah, that is about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely go check out Togevor's channel like I mentioned before, and let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Likes, comments, subscriptions, all those things are greatly appreciated. And most importantly, have yourselves a fantastic day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Later.